So today I wanted to give you a quick overview of Toad, the TripleO Automated Deployer. So Toad is a fully automated deployment using Ansible, and it attempts to get as close to single command spin up as possible. And the main goal is to automate RDO and OSP deployments for testing and development purposes. So Toad is a testing framework using off-the-shelf components that many people are familiar with, including Jenkins Job Builder, TripleO Quick Start, and optionally the Elk Stack. Its core component is TripleO Quick Start, which is the same system used for TripleO upstream testing. It's fully customizable with TripleO Quick Start settings, which can clearly be extended, and the idea is to deploy environments with one click and make it so that you don't have to feel bad about trashing it after you're done. The idea being that you want to build out some environments, perform some testing, look at some things, maybe add some code, make some changes and see if it works, and then throw it away and give it another try again and make sure that things are reproducible. And Toad is very much open source and is available under github.com/redhat-nfepe. So what are some of the components that make up Toad? Primarily, we start here at creating the jobs with Jenkins Job Builder. That's where all the magic happens. We really just define our jobs using JJB and some templates, and that's what gets pushed into our Jenkins master, which is fronted with Nginx. And then from there, when you trigger a job, you have one of two paths, really. You have a virtualized deployment or a bare metal deployment. And really, they're very quite similar. In a virtualized or a bare metal deployment, the undercloud is actually going to be a virtual machine running on a bare metal slave, and that bare metal slave can actually be the same host that's running the Jenkins master, which we call an all-in-one deployment. From there, the slave, once you trigger the job, will then actually execute TripleO Quick Start, and then based on the parameters you give TripleO Quick Start and give that job along with some environment files and some other things we'll get to in another presentation, that'll actually define how things get deployed. So in a bare metal environment, it can go to a bare metal controller and a compute node and deploy those for you, or in a virtualized environment, those would be virtual machines living on the virt host. At the end, we collect a bunch of job logs and we push that via SCP into the Jenkins master, and from there you can view the logs and see what happened during the run. Optionally, you can set up an Elk Stack as well, and we utilize FileBeat to poll for those job changes, and when those logs get pushed over to the server, and then we pipe that into Logstash, and then you can visualize it with Kibana. So some requirements for installing Toad. We have the two different use cases, virtualized and bare metal. So you only need one Jenkins and Nginx instance, and that should be ideally around 8 gigabytes. Virtualized deployments just have the one server for slave and the virtualized TripleO deployment, and you'll need a Red Hat network subscription for OSP jobs. In a virtualized deployment, as I mentioned, you can actually run everything on a single host, including all the components that make up Toad, along with TripleO Quick Start, and that'll then instantiate the virtual machines for you on that same host. On a bare metal deploy, it's pretty similar. You have your virt host, which runs a virtualized undercloud, and then TripleO Quick Start can be set up to go out and build your controller and your compute node for you. So you'll need at least one server for the controller and one for the compute. And of course, you can extend this out just like you can with TripleO. Some of the benefits, ideally it's easy. You can perform a full virtualized and bare metal deployment with one click. Most things, if not everything, is automated. So what we're trying to do is avoid manual steps that are prone to human error. So what we don't want you having to do is go and run the job and then go and run a bunch of manual things after the fact, and then basically have to keep reproducing your environment manually. So that leads into being repeatable. Jobs are defined and the configurations are stored in Git repository, so you can both track changes and make changes upstream and then push that into your Toad deployment. Battle tested relies on TripleO Quick Start, which is used for upstream CI. It's complete. You can choose between different releases, and you can use RDO or OSP deployments. Flexible, you can extend the whole thing with customization scripts and templates. You can consume local repositories with pinned versions and custom packages. You can add your own post-deployment scripts. All sorts of things can be done in order to make things flexible so that you can get an environment that suits your needs. We try to make things as visible as possible, so the logs for the deployment are pushed to a centralized location, they're collected, and then we publish those using different tooling. And the whole thing is really quite extensible. You can chain other post-deployment jobs, you can trigger deployments on events. These are really all tools that you get with Jenkins Master, the pipeline system, Jenkins Job Builder, macros, and of course you can use TripleO Quick Start and extending the roles that way. So a quick look at the workflow. Really, you'll start with Jenkins here. And optionally, you can go and build an image for you. This isn't needed when you're using pure upstream RDO. You'll actually just download the image from there. So it can go and create the images. It's a one-time job that gets executed, and then the images get created for OSP. So after that, then another job is triggered, or it could be your first job if you're using RDO and upstream. Then the job is triggered. TripleO Quick Start job gets triggered. If it's a downstream type job, then of course that image is consumed. Otherwise, it's just pulled from upstream. It'll generate an undercloud, a computer, and a controller minimally, and then that allows you after deployment to inspect or debug or customize it. And of course, you can run post-deployment scripts. After this whole deployment has finished, the jobs are then pulled off of the Jenkins slave and pushed back into the Jenkins master so that you can perform some post-deployment review and things like that and make sure that your deployment worked as expected. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for attending.